Hey everyone, it is day 15. We are building a single player card building or deck building game in Unreal Engine using only blueprints all by myself. Um, I realized last video that I made was 50 minutes long. Much too long, much too long. So the mantra of this video is quick. We're gonna be quick. We're gonna be quick. I realized that I'm not gonna be able to cover all the code that I did for the week. Even in the first video that was 50 minutes long, I wasn't able to cover all the code that was done. So unfortunately, if you want to see all the code, you're gonna have to drop by the stream, look at all the VODs if you want to catch up, or just ask me questions within the stream. So really, what we're gonna do today is we're just gonna go over what's in the game because you can play the game if you want to. If you look down below in the description, you can download the game, both for mobile devices. It may work for mobile devices. I'm not sure because of the whole cert locking thing, but if not, it's at least available for Windows operating system. So you can go ahead and download it and give it a play. And what we're going to do through this video is we're going to go ahead and play the game. I'm just going to go through and show what we have. So nothing else really aside from that. I'm going to go ahead and launch the game up here. And this is it. So we have 5 of our stats implemented. The far left one is karma. An attribute about compassion. We have order. An attribute about maintaining, well, order. We have the vacant throne, which is where tribute is paid. Every time you draw a card, you have to pay 1 tribute. That's pretty much all its interaction is with right now, is every time you draw a card, you pay tribute. We then have Kismet, which is value is randomized between the highest stat and the lowest stat every single turn. So at the beginning of the turn, it is randomized. And then we have Sanity over here, mostly used with the enemy Moz cards. We're just going to go over just the gameplay. Some main stuff that we've implemented. The huge one is the stack. We now have logic for the stack, which is very, very extensive. But basically, if you're not familiar with what a stack is, Magic the Gathering has a stack in its gameplay, which is that whenever a card is played, you have some period of time to be able to play a card on top of that card. And you're piling cards onto a stack. And the key thing about stack is just like the same thing with a programming stack, which is first in, last out. What that means is that when it comes time to finally say, okay, we all agree these are all the cards that are going to get played. Well, we look at the very last card that was played, and we play it first. And we keep going down until we finally get to the first card that was played at the very end. So we're going to be showing a lot of the functionality of the stack. We're going to go ahead and draw a card here. We got Muzzled Moz. So this is one of our Moz cards. It's a buff. Despite it being a Moz, it is a buff. And it gains a token anytime a card enters the discard pile. So just a reminder, this is a discard pile over here, kind of casted in a shadow, but this little cubby hole here. Also, tokens will appear as a number up here. Right now there's no tokens, so there's no number there. But anyways, anytime a card goes to the discard pile, this gains a token. At 3 tokens, we remove all the tokens and we consume a random card in the debuff pile. If the debuff pile is empty, consume 1 card from the discard pile instead. If discard pile is empty, lose 10 sanity. So Muzzled Moz is a buff because it gets rid of debuff cards and it could potentially get rid of discard cards. Now, one Muzzled Moz is good because worst case scenario, it procs off of sending a card to the discard pile. It eats that card in the discard pile. However, 2 Muzzled Mozes becomes problematic because they both gain a token off the same discard. So if you send a 3rd card to the discard pile, they both have a token. One's going to eat the card. The other one is going to go ahead and cause 10 sanity. So we're going to go ahead and resolve this. And we're going to pass the turn. You can see the value for Kismet is randomizing. Also, all the graphics here are temporary. They're not final assets, so keep that in mind. Next one is Junkyard Moz, another Moz card. It goes into our debuff pile, which we're kind of renaming to Detriment because debuff is kind of a misnomer. Debuff is more about removing buffs, while Detriment gives the idea that it's something that's negative. But at the start of turn, consume 1 random card from the discard pile. If discard pile is empty, lose 1 sanity instead. So you're noticing kind of a motif of the Moz, where the Moz must be fed. The Moz usually feed off of refuse, So trash, discards, stuff like that, they will eat. But if they don't get fed that way, they will eat your sanity. So keep them fed. Unseen Greed. You're probably familiar with this one. It's one of the first cards we made. This one goes to our buff pile and just lets it get an additional draw per turn. Now, because we are drawing, that means we're also paying 2 tribute per turn. And you can just kind of see this dial go down whenever we draw a card. Boop, just kind of tick down because we drew a card. Then the Lord's Decree. This is our very first card we ever created. And this one consumes 2 karma and gives us order. So we go like that, and we just get some order. Now you realize that the cost occurred first, and then the payoff happened afterwards. That means that if you pay for something, that something could potentially stop it, but it's not going to save. It's not going to return your payment because you already paid for it and you're waiting for it to resolve. Here's our binary card. We now changed our binary cards so that when they enter the stack, you resolve them first for drawing, and then you resolve them based off the choice that you make. So we have the option to consume a Moz that has entered play and lose 5 sanity, or lose 5 sanity and gain 5 karma, with the idea that we're putting the Moz out of its misery. The left option being like, hey, we're going to put the Moz out of its misery, and the one on the right-hand side is that we're going to exploit it. We're going to exploit its pain to get rid of another Moz. We're actually going to go ahead and cast that now, and we're going to get rid of this Junkyard Moz. There's still some visual errors, so if we see some cards like clip through each other, that's to be expected. Although they should be minimal. Another Disrupt, good. This is our counter card. It lets us know if we encounter anything nasty that we throw it away. Hey, another Disrupt. So the deck is randomized. Anytime you play this, there's 18 cards. Moz Spawning Den. Okay, so this is one that's pretty interesting. The way this works is that even if it's in your deck, it is gaining a tick. So anytime a card is drawn, regardless of what turn it is or anything like that, anytime a card is drawn, Moz Spawning Den gains 1 token. And then when you finally draw Moz Spawning Den, it deals 8 sanity damage to you for every card that you've drawn. So you can see that even though it was in the deck, it was already building tokens. One of the cool things about digital format is we can do cool things like this. So it is a card that if you draw it early, it's pretty, it's convenient because it doesn't do a lot of damage to you. But if you draw it later into the game, it's going to deal a lot of damage to you. So we're just trying to show off some of the more interesting concepts here. We got another Muslim Moz there. We're going to go ahead and just toss that in. I try to always create the more difficult cards off the bat because they introduce a lot of our edge cases that we need to be able to make sure that we can handle. I'm actually going to go ahead and consume one of these muzzle Mozes. I'm going to consume... No, actually they're both procced. I was going to get the one with the most tokens, but that's fine. We'll just choose this one over here. All the input is just like... is built for a tablet, but it works for mouse input, but you have to do it like a tablet. So if you want to cast a card, you swipe up, just like that. And if you want a card to go away, like if we view one of our stacks, we just swipe down. It could be a little bit difficult right now to swipe down. I need a hands on it because we also have our drag code in here. The swipe down sometimes piggybacks off of that. If you're if you're like swiping down too far left and too far right. Imprinted Moz. This is a card that goes into your hand, and while it's in your hand, anytime you draw a card, you lose 2 sanity. So you're thinking like, well, why don't you just play this card? Well, it's supposed to be one of those cards that you may not want to be able to pay the cost for, because right now it costs 7 karma. So we can go ahead and pay 7 karma to get rid from our hand, and then we don't have to worry about the sanity loss. And the implementation, or the implication there being that you did something devious to the imprinted Moz to get rid of it. So it cost karma to get rid of it, but you're saving yourself your sanity. Another Dying Moz. We're going to go ahead and resolve. We're just going to keep in our hand for right now. Illegal Chemist. This is actually a reference to something. If you read the flavor text, you might figure out what it is. But anytime a card enters the debuff zone, gain 1 token. Anytime a card enters the discard, lose 1 token. Passive, lose 1 order for each token. There's a lot of issues with the keywords so far, so if you give this a play, you'll probably notice that a lot of the wording isn't like standardized across the board. But what passive means is that every turn, like every time your debuff phase happens, passives are activated, and they are activated in a way where they aren't on the stack. They happen in the background. You can't specifically, they don't create a stack chain for it. But the idea behind this is that the more debuff or more cards that are in the debuff pile, the stronger this gets. However, they have to remain in the debuff pile, or if anything gets discarded, they go away. And it's supposed to be the idea behind this one is that it's a chemist who's providing highly toxic chemicals that can potentially be fatal. So patrons are coming and going, and his strength is overall for the number of patrons that are available at that time. We have a Starving Moz here, another dual choice card. We actually have 3 random cards, so we're basically going to be feeding the Starving Moz, and it's a good act. So we're going to get 10 karma. So we consume 3 cards, and there they go. No draws left. Go ahead, pass the turn. We're on turn 10. This is our turn counter up here. Bureaucratic Accountant. On card draw, activates gain 2 order. We're actually getting close to winning with that card. And we got so many counters in our hand, like this one right here. We're going to go ahead and counter that one. And so all we have to do is just target it with our Disrupt, and then it goes on the stack. If we ever want to view what card's on the stack, we just click the stack and we can see it. This is in the order of in which they're going to be casted. So far left is going to be casted first. Things on the right are going to be casted last. There is an issue here, is that they don't tell you what's targeting what. So if you have a lot of things in the stack that are targeting other parts of the stack, it can get a bit confusing, but that's something we'll implement later. Also, a rule of thumb, anytime you see that resolve button pop up, that means that there is a stack, and that once you click resolve, the stack will resolve. It will go through that entire list. And once the stack has begun resolving, you can't do anything, you can't play any cards until the stack has fully resolved. Another Disrupt. Okay, so we're doing really good here. We actually got a really good hand. As long as our deck actually has stuff in here. All right, we have so many disrupts, so we're just going to go ahead and disrupt it. If we can. Ooh. We cannot. So we're encountering a little bug here. That's fine. We can actually use our dying. Ooh. So our hand is locked. That's not good. So something we did, locked our hand. Well-planned theft. Gain 1 token, add 3 tokens, discard next drawn card, and lose 3 tokens. So there's bugs. If your hand becomes locked, passing the turn should fix it. Another Legal Chemist. There is also an issue with Legal Chemist. Right now, it gains a token off itself, or it gains a token if a card entered the debuff zone prior to it. The reason why is because if you're the top deck, you're technically not in the deck programming-wise, so I just need to add some adjustment to it, but this shouldn't have a 1 on it yet. However, it should get a 1 whenever it itself gets put into it. It looks like our hand is hard locked. We have to draw this Poorly Hidden Moz, which is unfortunate, because it will lose us 20 sanity. Actually, no, we can discard 3 cards. Except our hand is locked. And I think that breaks the game. I think we're completely broken here. Yeah. So we're just going to go ahead and hit R to restart. And we're going to do another quick round. We're at about 14 minutes. We're trying to make this video under 20 minutes long. We'll be quick, just so we can see more cards. Another Unseen Greed, giving us an extra turn. Now, this is a Poorly Hidden Moz. How I know? Because it's poorly hidden. The back of the card is purple. Another thing that I want to have introduced into the game is I want indicators on card back so you can kind of tell what possibly could be underneath it. So it gives you an advantage. Say if you have anything that says like discard top card, something like that, you can use it at this point in time. We're going to go ahead and just draw this, and we're just going to disrupt it. Just because the alternative is either we discard 3 cards from our hand, or we lose 20 sanity. Actually, we'll be forced to remove 3 cards from our hand. The only way that we lose 20 sanity is we don't have the 3 cards. Also, a little bit about, there's a building a little bit of lore about the Moz. The Moz aren't, they're not evil. They don't consume flesh. They only consume garbage. but they do make people tend to go insane. Nothing like magical properties or anything like that. Think of it as just like they emit a high aura of like lead or something like that that just doesn't chemically bode well with humans. So not really magic. Another illegal chemist. Well, our first one for this game. And Pathfinder. Pathfinder lets us pick a dual choice card. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cheat by picking the one on the top or the far right. Why is that cheating? Because Pathfinder doesn't reshuffle the deck. Oh, also, if you want to reshuffle the deck, just hit F on the keyboard and it'll reshuffle the deck if you want. But why it's cheating there is because Pathfinder doesn't reshuffle the deck. So by picking the card on the far right, we know that we're picking the dual card that is going to be closest to the top. We also saw a graphical error there. It was one of the cards was shut off to the far left. Another disrupt, that's good. We're actually at hand capacity, so we're just going to go ahead and cast our Thunderlord's Decree. The idea of building something against the Moz deck would be to keep them fed. So ways to get cards into the discard pile that you don't necessarily want to get back. Because they like eating cards in the discard pile. I mean, right now we have a Junkyard Moz that's eating one discard card every turn. And Printed Moz. So this is one that's going to go ahead and cause us 2 sanity every time we draw a card. So you can see like it went down a little bit there. Bureaucratic Accountant. We're going to go ahead and cast Imprinted Moz. Actually, we can, if we want to, this is another way to do it. So this will cost 7 karma for it to work. However, if we go to Dying Moz, we can actually pay 5 sanity instead, which over the long run is definitely a better investment. And we can consume the Moz, even though it's in our hand. Once a card has left the deck, it is considered in play. Even in the discard, it's considered in play. Just as long as it has left the deck. Equalization, we're going to go ahead and disrupt that. Equalization will kill Bureaucratic Accountant. And I think that's really the only one, another Legal Chemist. We're going to go ahead and disrupt that as well. Just because it's stopping us from winning through order victory. The thing about the Illegal Chemist is part of the Outlaw tribe. I haven't really confirmed or locked down on that name, but basically they're more control. They don't necessarily make you lose as they do stop you from winning. We're going to use our Dying Moz, and we're going to have it. Oh, I guess actually, this is actually something that's not supposed to. It's supposed to be able to let us target poorly hidden Moz, but it looks like we just have a bug. That's fine. We have a disrupt that we can use instead. We got about another minute and 30 seconds, so we're just going to go ahead. Just a reminder that you can play this game if you want to. Just go down to the description. You'll find a link for it. Another Legal Chemist. I think there's a few cards that we missed out of the 18 or 17 cards that are available. So we're just gonna try to see if we can go through and find all we can. Also, you'll notice that some of the binary cards go to our hand and some don't. That's fine. Ooh, 20 sanity. We're gonna lose from this one. Whack. We're actually doing pretty good on sanity though. Another equalization. Use our last disrupt on it. Just because our Bureaucratic Accountant is our closest chance to getting order. Hey, this is good. We are going to. We want to try to just get stuff inside the discard pile, so we can proc our muzzled Moz. So we can see right down here it has that 1 token. we'll get rid of the other junkyard moths. And we'll go ahead and we'll just, this moth's den, even though it's already in the discard pile, we're going to feed it. Moths can become cannibals in the time that they are in need. But anyways, it went ahead and Moses Moss procced, and it got rid of one of our illegal chemists. All right, so there we go. Rubber Sheep. This card, this is one that we missed. Okay, so this card has extraordinarily high cost. You need to have at least 90 order, and it consumes 5 order to cast. And what this does is that anytime a card is discarded, this spawns another Rubbish Heap inside the deck. So this is one of those cards that it could potentially just fill up your deck over and over and over again. Hey, but look at this. This is going to hurt, though, is that we have a poorly hidden Moz here, and we have nothing to give it, so we're going to take a 20 sanity hit here. So we go ahead and resolve. Oh, wow. Or it breaks. It looks like there's an issue with poorly hidden Moz. That's breaking the game. Yeah. Yep, we're broken again. Oh, well. But what it should be doing is saying, hey, there is not 3 cards to be able to do. So if there's not 3 cards, then you need to go ahead and set it up. Or then you need to go ahead and consume. It could be potentially part of an issue that I'm encountering with class defaults. Yep. All right. This is the problem with class defaults, and I'll go through it real quick. If anyone has a solution to this, I would love to know. But because all my cards are inherited, they're inherited blueprints of their own. A lot of the times, their defaults get reset. So, example, is this supposed to be a type of Moz? It's supposed to affect type restrictions of all card types. And it's supposed to count against the hand, cards that are in your hand. So if we go to zone restrictions, we should say it eats cards in the hand only. But every now and then, I haven't figured out why, and it doesn't affect all the child cards. It's just random, it seems to me. But of course, it's programming, so there's no such thing as random. That is resetting all the class defaults. So I'll probably build this into a struct, all these values into a struct, and then set them here. But if anyone knows why it's doing that or a solution to prevent that from happening, that would be pretty cool. But that's the reason why that's happening there. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and rebuild this, and I'm going to upload it to the download link. So it will be fixed when you download it, if you download from the link below. But that's it. If you want to come watch this get programmed live, I stream every day between 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time. Every day, even on weekends. So drop in. If you have any questions or you want to know more about it, any questions about UE4 or blueprinting, let me know. But that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will check you later.